Hello and welcome guys to another video, and today we have another track guide in the Radical SR8 at Snetterton 300 for the Racing Prodigy Series Round 2. So we are using the baseline setup for this. I did use the Snetterton 300 iRacing official setup as well, which felt really good, but for the hot lap we used the baseline setup. So jumping straight into the hot lap, and then we'll look at the track guide. So jumping into the track guide, there are quite a few slow corners at Snetterton. With it being a high downforce car, you do have to watch your braking, as it can be quite easy to lock up. So coming into the first corner, we're looking for this number 1 board, and we're braking just before this number 1 board, shifting down into 5th gear and trying to carry as much speed as possible and just be smooth with the steering wheel. You can use a little bit of the curb, but try not to use too much because it's got quite a lot of angle towards the grass and it can unsettle the car. You almost treat it as a slight double apex. So as you see, I'm clipping the curb here, letting it go out wide, and then clipping this bit of the curb. As you see, this is angled, and then this is angled the other way. So this is angled up, and then this is angled down, and I'm clipping just where that changes. So I'm clipping that curb. You can use some of that exit curb, but you don't need to. Just be careful not to get on the grass, because if you get on the grass here, it can be very easy to either spin this way or that way and completely destroy your race. Now coming into the hairpin, we've got the 1 board here and we've got the 2 board here. So I'm braking just after the number 2 board, and I try and treat this as a double apex if I can. So you want to go deep into the corner and then bring it tight to clip on this apex. So I don't follow the corner round on this tight line. I try and let it go out wide and then get that really late apex, as you see here. You want to get all the way down the gears. I think I go all the way down into 1st gear here, yep, but I short shift to 2nd just about where I clip this curb here. So what that does is it limits the wheel spin. You still have to be careful on the throttle, but if you slam the power down in 1st gear, you'll get a lot of wheel spin. So try and short shift into 2nd, and then still be careful with the throttle. As soon as you know the grip is there, get full on the throttle. Now this left-hander, there is no real braking marker. So what I use is, see this light board here? when you're in line, you can see it on my side screen, when you're in line with that light board is when you want to brake. That's the only real braking marker that I can use. Obviously you've got these, but you're braking quite a bit before then, so it's difficult to find a reference point. Now shifting down into third gear, standard corner here, you can use this curb to help the car rotate. Just feather the throttle and get on the power nice and early. Let the car drift out wide. You can use all of this, I don't really know what you would call it, I think it's concrete, but you can go completely onto this and use this to maximize your exit speed, and it won't invalidate your lap at all. Now coming into the hairpin, looking at the braking markers on the right hand side. So again, we've got the number 2 and we've got the number 1 board, and we're braking just after the number 2 board. Shifting all the way down the gears, again similar to the first hairpin, we're getting that very late apex. So as you see, we're not all the way clipping this curb at the start of the corner, but then we get nice and tight and we clip the curb on the exit of the corner. Down into second gear for this one, and again just be careful on the power. If you get on the power too aggressively, again it will snap, so you just want to be careful on the power as soon as the wheel's straight, and as long as you're not in first gear you can usually just slam the throttle down. So coming into the left-hander, we're looking for this Hamilton board and that turn board, keeping it in fourth gear and just a little tap of the brake between those two boards. So as you see, lift off the throttle, only doing about 20% brake there. Off the brakes, and then getting on the power nice and early, using this curb to rotate the car, and then using all of this exit concrete and curb as well. Coming into this right-hander, I go a bit too wide here. You want to aim to just clip the curb on the right hand side to help rotate the car. Here I just go a little bit too wide here. The braking board is just before this turn board on the left. Going all the way into second gear, and like I say, you usually want to clip this curb on the right here, but I go slightly wide and just miss it. But if you clip that curb, it'll allow the car to rotate much better. Get on the power and just try and straighten the wheel as early as possible. That corner and the next corner are really important because this is to set you up for the back straight. So that's why here you want to get on the power and straighten the wheel as early as possible. Coming on to this right hander, just a tap of the brakes. I think I only go to about 40% here, as you see, about 40% braking. Feather the throttle on, use some of the curb to rotate. As you see, you can actually put one wheel onto the grass here, completely over the curb, and the car is absolutely fine. Get on the power as early as possible, and you can use this exit concrete as well. With that corner, you really just want to maximize your average speed through the corner and make sure you get on the power as early as possible. Now this is, in my opinion, the trickiest corner of the circuit because you're at one of the highest points in terms of your top speed. You've got very high braking and high downforce corner, and then into a really tight right-hander. So coming into the corner, get as far to the right of the track as possible, right up against this white line. Look for this board, and we want to start our braking then. As you see, I'm going to brake about 45%, and I don't go much higher than that because if you brake too hard, you can lock up because we're braking whilst turning, which if you use too much braking force, it'll be really easy to spin off. So just trailing those brakes. As you see, I'm trailing the brakes as I take this corner and shifting down the gears, and then straightening up on the left hand side. So that's why I aim to get a late apex on this left hander, because I'm clipping this curb, putting a wheel over this red curb, and that allows me to straighten the wheel here, and I've opened up this right hander. So you want to make sure you're opening up this right hander. You don't want to be over here when you come out of that left hander. You want to be over here so that you can brake higher percentage because you're in a straight line, you're not turning the wheel, and it allows you to open up this right hander. Get on the power nice and early. Be careful with the throttle. It's very easy to get a lot of wheel spin coming out of this corner. So get on the power and the car is fine. You might need to short shift there depending on the track conditions. Now coming into this corner, very easy to unsettle the car. So looking at bomb hole boards, lifting off the power when we're in line with that, tiny touch of the brakes, about 20% as we come into the corner, then getting on the power, using this curb to rotate the car. You'll sometimes, because you're going into a dip and then back out of the dip, you will sometimes find that the rear steps out a little bit, so you just need to give it a little bit of a correction. Now, final corner, similar to the left-hander then right-hander at the end of the back straight, we've now got a right-hander and then tight left-hander. This corner, what I like to do is just feather the throttle. So I'm starting to turn in where you see this board, and then I just feather the throttle, little tap of the brakes, and you see just using the throttle to rotate it and trying to hold it to the right hand side of the track, and then here just lifting off the throttle almost completely, and then as soon as I'm straightened the wheel at the second last board, so 2 boards left, second last board, and then on the brakes, making sure the wheel is straight, trailing off the brakes, clipping this curb. Make sure not to clip the sausage curb because that will really unsettle the car. Getting on the power just before I clip this curb, and you can again use this concrete, but you don't need to, I find, because you're so slow going into that corner. You usually only have to use this red and white curb, but you can use this curb if you need to. And then there you go. That is the lap of Snetterton 300. So we will be doing a track guide for every track for this series. So if you guys have any suggestions for the upcoming track guides, let me know in the comments down below. And as always guys, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and see you again next time.